ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 6 of the Live from the Tracking Room podcast. I am your host, David Chasteen. So, here it is. This is the end of Sober October edition, and I just got to let you know, I fucked it all up, man. I ruined it. I didn't do any, I didn't finish Sober October strong. I didn't have it in the bag. I failed about day 20. I was doing pretty good. I was in the gym all the time. Just to recap, I had a bunch of goals, a bunch of fitness goals. I was trying to run 100 miles. I was trying to eat no bread, no sugar. I was going to go to the gym 20 times, 10 hot yogas. And I didn't accomplish any of those goals. No fast food either, and I fucked that one up. So, yeah, man, that was it. That was my month, October. It was going pretty strong for a while. I wanted to do a whole bunch of podcasts and a bunch of stand-up, and I just ended up being a little flake boy. I don't know what happened. It was going pretty good for a while. Yeah, man, I think it started, I think I failed. It was about day 20. I was running a whole bunch. I was a little bit behind on my running schedule, but I got up to about 40 miles, and then I ran 7 miles that one time I ran to get up to 40, and I made myself super sick, and I couldn't exercise for like 2 days. I was pretty much laid up in the house sick because I ran. I just pushed it too hard, and I hadn't been eating. The other thing, I had a bunch of unrealistic dietary goals. Like I was trying to do no bread and no like a bunch of like just healthy eating without eating. I wasn't financially really able to eat super well. I know a lot of people say that's bullshit, but I just wanted I don't know, the way I lived, the way I was grocery shopping, I probably wasn't eating well enough. I feel like my mic sounds like shit, but we'll see in post. I'll fix it. I don't know if this podcast is going to be super interesting. I don't feel very motivated to do it, but I've been slacking, bro. I wanted to do 5 podcasts in the month of October. I think I did 2. This might be the 3rd one. I think I wanted to get up to 8. But it's Halloween. I went out tonight. I went out to a Halloween party, and it sucked. Not the party sucked. I think the party was fun. I think I was not very fun. I wasn't having a good time. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on right now. I had all these goals. I was going pretty good at them. I was working hard, and then I'm not going to lie, on that day 20, oh, yeah, that's what I was saying, right? So I ran a bunch. I made myself sick, and then I just felt like, I don't know, I just wanted to smoke weed. That's what I wanted all of a sudden. And now talking about it, it's going to make me feel like a super loser. Like, I already felt like a loser, but talking about it, it's going to make me feel like a huge dork. So I felt like shit. And then I called somebody up. I was like, they knew I was doing Sober October, and thankfully they didn't hold it over my head or anything. But I was just like, yo, see, now I'm giving recorded evidence of purchasing. It was a friend. All right. I went and I met a friend, and I got some things from my friend, and I used those things, and it was weed things. It was weed drugs, and I used the weed, and I felt like a loser right after. I was like, oh, I felt sick, and I felt down, but I didn't need to smoke this weed. I didn't need to do this. I just needed to, get over being sick or whatever. So I don't want to call it a relapse, because it's not like I'm in rehab or something. I just was trying to lay off these weed drugs a little bit, and I'm still doing a pretty good job. I'm not like back to smoking like every day all the time. So like the last 10 days, 11 days of October here, I've been smoking weed a little bit off and on. And then I got a new roommate. That's another reason, right? So the podcast, it's been hard to find time to record because I've been doing it at home. I've got a little studio at the house, and now I was living alone. Now I got a roommate, and we pretty much have the same schedule. So we're here together all the time, and it's hard to sit down and talk to yourself and ramble for an hour when there's somebody else in your 650 square foot apartment, because it's not very big. So you can't really fart in this place without the other person hearing it. So that's fine. But I've been struggling to find the time to get in my zone, and sit down and ramble to nobody for an hour. So that's been a little difficult. So that held me up on the podcast side of things. But what was I saying? I don't know, dude. I just, new roommate, right? So I got a new roommate, and that was probably the 20th. I think it was October 20th, 21st, something like that. And he wanted to go out and celebrate new roommatehood or whatever you would call it, some new friendship. So it's his first time living in Nashville. He moved up here. So we went out with another friend of ours, and we all went out, and Me and this other person, the other friend, not the roommate. So there's three of us, right? There's friend, we'll call friend number one, right? And then there's me and the roommate, the new roommate. So me and the friend number one, right? We're both participating in Sober October, and we're doing a not so great job at it. I was already smoking weed at that point. I think she was smoking weed as well, but no drinking really. We hadn't really been drinking. I definitely hadn't been, and we went out to one bar and we maintained our Sober October, right? We didn't drink, and then we went to another bar, and at that bar we were like, well, what are we doing this for, we're out, new roommate hood, we're gonna celebrate a little bit. So we had some drinks at that bar, went to another bar and had a lot more drinks. I drank more drinks than I drank in a long time, and it was fun, a really good time. Got very inebriated, I guess. I got real drunk at this bar with my friends, my new roommate, friend number one, and then we came back to my apartment where I felt like a loser the next day because I had a major hangover. Actually, I didn't feel that bad. I didn't feel that guilty about the drinking thing because I had a good time. Had a really good time. Had a good time with some friends. I normally don't go out. I'm not like super social with going out, and if I do ever go out, it's normally pretty chill. I don't like go out and have a good time and socialize. I'm not like a social butterfly. I'm not like a socialite. But I did that night. I did this night of like October 21st or something like that this month. So the day, I think I said it already, this is Halloween today. It's the very last day of Sober October. And I would love to make it here saying that I made it. So next year I'm definitely going to do Sober October again. I'm going to ride it out. I'm going to get it done because I felt like I didn't accomplish any of my goals. None of my major goals, like any of the quantities of the goals, I didn't accomplish. Shit, I didn't do anything. And it sucks. I'm going to adjust this mic here. I don't know, because I found out I need competition, That's what makes the Sober October thing work. It's hard to do it alone, especially for me, right? Like I need people that are doing it that I can like go at them, like competition-wise, because the way that I did it, I kind of just need like I want to do it all in one go, like all these super goals, like all this no bread, like all this crazy diet shit, and I want to do it, but if there's nobody to compete against, it's kind of hard to do. You're like doing it alone. And I tried to use like the podcast and social media to like synthesize some kind of contest. Like I tried to put it all out there so that I was kind of held accountable somehow. But honestly, dude, after a while, you get all worn down. Like I made myself sick from running so much. I ran like 14 miles in 2 days, and I was fucked up, dude. I just didn't want to do it anymore. And then man, it really did go downhill quick though. Like I smoked weed, and then I had a couple of days, I think the next day I ate a little bit of candy, and then, man, we got these new desserts at work. They're like these oatmeal cookie bites though. Oh man, and they make them with this, they've been changing the sides up. One was like a chocolate cream cheese, which was the shit, and the other one was like a whipped cream with amaretto in it, also the shit. And I ate a shit ton of those oatmeal cookie bites, dude, and they had a lot of sugar in them. And I also I was down to like 165 at one point in October, like close to the 20th. And now I'm all the way back up. Well, I was at like 181, and now I'm back at like 175 because I went to the gym the day before yesterday, and I ran 7 miles, and I did a whole bunch of stuff. So I've been back to the gym a little bit. But, dude, I feel like a failure. I feel like I failed. I feel like I failed myself. I feel like I failed, maybe 2 people that care, that listened. But... no, I did. The one thing that does suck, I had a bunch of people reach out to me about Sober October. A bunch of people that saw my Instagram stuff, saw me trying to get active with the podcast, and I got actually a lot of support. Like, I don't have a lot of activity in my social media normally. I had a bunch of people in my messages and a bunch of stuff. Like, a bunch of people said that I was inspiring them to want to get in the gym and work out. And who knows if they did? Who knows if they did shit? But they wanted to. They said they saw me doing stuff, and it was inspiring to them. And I guess that's... getting back to talking about doing it on social media, hold myself accountable. I guess the whole point is that I wanted to do it with people to try to improve our habits or try to improve something. And I guess some people at least thought about it. They probably didn't do it, just like me, not accomplishing my goals. But at least they thought about it, Yeah, so that's Sober October, dude. It was 20 days and it felt great, actually. I was really enjoying, again, I didn't smoke weed for like 20 days. And I really got it to enjoy not being like a habitual everyday, multiple times a day smoker. Was very nice. I don't drink very much, so the drinking was fine. And the diet has still been pretty good. Like, I went to McDonald's today, but other than that, I really only have done fast food one other time in the month, and it was after the 20th. It was like, and I only got like a chicken go wrap or something like that too. It was like, oh man, no, I did have some McDonald's breakfast just the other day because I was really hungry. I was starving to death, but probably not to death. I probably could have made it, but I didn't have any groceries. So, but all in all, for me in a month, going to fast food kind of 4 times, because I got that little chicken to go wrap. It's just grilled chicken in a tortilla, so that's not so bad for fast food. One of those times, but man, I'm gonna keep trying to live clean a little bit, live that clean diet. It feels nice, man. My body feels a lot better. Oh, also, I know none of y'all have seen. You can't see me right now, but I cut my hair. I cut all my hair off. I've been growing my hair out for 4 years, and it was real long, very, very long. And everybody I know in Tennessee, at least, knows me with long hair. And everybody I know in Kentucky still, like all my family and stuff, they've been seeing me with long hair. And I cut it off. I cut it all off. And it's short, and I feel good. It feels good to have a slick little haircut, you know. I don't got to worry about getting my hair all caught up and shit. And I shed like some kind of border collie or something. There's hair all over my apartment, and I've been vacuuming and cleaning, and I'm getting all that old hair up, and I'm not dealing with that anymore. And I use a lot of the shampoo, and it doesn't take very long to dry my hair. So I'm very much enjoying that. So yeah, short hair is going good. What else, man? What else have I been doing? Let's see. Oh yeah, I went back home the other day. I went back home. My little brother, who is now 18 years old, he just had his state marching band championships. In my family, me and my brother at least, not my older sister, but we were very involved in the marching band. We were in the drum line. And my brother, he had his last, he's a senior, obviously he's 18, and I went back to watch his last band performance, the last time he plays with the high school band, and it was good. They made the finals. They got third place in the state, which is pretty decent. But he won. He was in the marching band for 5 years. I was also in the marching band for 5 years. So like the 8th grade, we were both in it in middle school. And he won 3 state championships. So he won first place 3 times, and that was the first 3 years he was in it. So 8th grade, freshman year, sophomore year, he won the state championship. And then the last 2 years, his junior and senior year, he has gotten third place, which is pretty good. And he's really good. So I was real proud of him. But the marching band thing was like, I mean, it was whatever. I didn't spend a lot of time watching high school bands because it fucking sucks. It's really not that fun. It's about what you would imagine, especially in the state of Kentucky. Nobody really gives a shit about the high. I mean, there's a bunch of band parents there, like people's parents, like sad old people. But other than that, it ain't too fun to watch a bunch of other people's kids kind of struggle to do something, even though it's the state finals. Like most of them, they're not very good. Like it's high school in Kentucky. Like they're just really not that good. But my brother's high school is pretty decent. The drum line is really good, and that's what I like watching most of the time anyway. And I really like just to be there to support him, honestly. When I was in the band, when I was in high school, I was always there like by myself. I didn't have a lot of people, come watch me. And for him, I just like to show him that I'm there. I love my brother, man. I love him more than anything in the world. Literally, like for real. My brother, he's the shit. He's an adult now. It's going to be crazy that he's going to be graduating high school and doing adult things. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately, that my brother, who I know just to be like a kid, he's going to be out there living that adult life. And in a way, that's going to be kind of like some losing a little innocence for me. Like, for sure, I'm getting old. I'm getting older. I'm almost 24 now. And, man, it's just wild. It's crazy to think. I don't know if any of y'all got any younger siblings that are still young, or young people in your life, but they will no doubt get older. And you will see, like if you got children, like some children or something, they'll definitely get big on you. They're gonna change size, and it's gonna be a little surprising, But the craziest thing is, like they got a personality, They're like, as they're getting older, they're adults, and they got adult personalities. Like, this is a real person. They are somebody. Like, I want to know what my brother's like, I just know him kind of as my brother. I live out of town, and I wish I kind of knew what he was like, I think about that. Like, maybe you don't really know what your family is like that much. Maybe a lot of y'all, maybe some of you guys are real close to your family, so you feel, and I am too, I'm real close to my family. But I just been living in Nashville for like 4 years. I don't feel like if I know what he's really like. and I've only really known him as a child. I almost said as a children. I've only known him as a child. So for him to be, I know, not to put anything out there like that, but I'm pretty sure he smokes a little weed, which is cool, and I do that. So maybe we could bond on that in the future, probably. But I have some friends that are friends with him, actually. So we have some like mutual friends, people that I've known throughout the years that know him now that he still lives where we're from. So really, I'm just kind of rambling about that. But I've been thinking about my brother a lot, man. I don't know if y'all got family, if you ever think about him. It's just crazy to think he's getting older. He's going to have to make some adult choices. Like, he's never had a job. He's going to have to go, if he wants to go to college. I know he said he's going to take a little year off of college or of school to figure out what's going on, which is not a bad move. But it's just crazy, dude. It kind of puts you in this weird, like, it's hard to express this loose feeling of, I don't know. It's just life, man. Here it is. It's just catching up with you. You know, the young ones ain't gonna stay young forever. And when he's a child, he always looks like a kid. You know, there's a many number of years now, 18 years or less, that he just looked like a kid. And now he's not. You know, what's crazy is he's 6'4", and he's taller than me, and he's skinny, and he looks good. He's like attractive young man, you know. So, and he looks a lot like me, but better. You know, like if it's me, but like 2.0 and taller and skinnier, you know, and he's real talented. And I'm not saying I'm jealous or nothing, but that's more like I'm just proud, you know, proud. Good looking kid, you know. But I just don't know what to think about it, you know. It makes you think about your parents. And my parents are about to have they already don't have any legal, you know, he's above the age of 18. But there's no going back for them. They're just getting older. And it's like, are they ever going to be grandparents, right? Like any of us could have some children ourselves. And that would be crazy if my brother had some kids, right? Holy shit, I'd freak out. I'd be like, well, you got some kids, bro. What are you doing with them kids? You're a kid. You're a child yourself, you know? But it's crazy to think they're going to get older, my parents. And I'm going to continue to get older. Like one day I'm going to be like 30 maybe, you know? Like I can't see the future, but I feel like it's coming, you know? I've got just a little bit of time, and I'll be there. And I don't know. I've just been in a weird place the last third of this month. I think the last podcast I did was on October 11th, so I've had like 20 days off from doing this podcast. And the other thing that happened, I kind of reflected on being young a little bit. When you're back in your hometown, especially don't live there. And like I said, I did a bunch of marching band, right? So I was kind of in very familiar territory, chilling out. The state finals were in Lexington, Kentucky, which is really close to where I'm from in Richmond. And it's crazy, like, being around the marching band, right? Because I went and watched them practice. I watched them practice at my high school where I went. And I saw all the band staff is still pretty much the same. Like, it's all the same instructors and all the same teachers. And it's crazy because, like, they used to talk to them all the time, and you were in the band, and you really look up to them. And I was kind of I was good, you know. I was a good player, but I was kind of a piece of shit in high school, just, like, for causing problems. Like, I just caused a bunch of trouble probably that they could have done without. And now that I'm older, sometimes you feel like they don't like you so much because they don't talk to you. Like, they're busy, they got shit going on, but I always feel like I want to go back and have like a moment where I'm like, oh, I go and talk to them. I'm like, because these band instructors, they played real important roles in my life. They taught me a lot of stuff, a lot of life stuff, a lot of working hard stuff. So I really look up to them, and they put up with me, and they always gave me second chances, a second chance on second chance for fucking up. And maybe we'll get into why they had to give me some second chances in a minute, but just like your band director, your percussion instructor, you know, I won't shout out their names just to be nice. But I love those guys, and it's weird. Like you expect to go back and you're visiting, and it's kind of selfish to feel this way, but you kind of want to have a moment where you get to talk to them, and you're like, yeah, this is where I am now. And some of that's because of you, but that's honestly a really selfish thing. But you always I want to go back and like talk to them and have a moment with them, but they're really busy and they don't really have time. So that's always weird, right? Like, I don't know if anybody has any experience of anything like that. Man, I've also been smoking, and like I said, it's October 31st, into sober October. Even though I didn't make it, I've been smoking a whole bunch of weed today. and I'm gonna go do it. And no editing in this podcast, dude. I'm just living life. It's who I am. Get over it. Get over it. Man, band directors. This is a good time to do what I just did. Hopefully they don't listen. I never want to pray for less viewership. But Mr. Jaggy, don't listen to my podcast. Jeremiah Fowler, don't listen to this podcast. Nah, but it made me reflect. Being back home, it made me reflect a lot on... Because my dad told me this story, okay? So, my brother's in the drum line, right? And one of the kids my brother plays snare drum, and he's the center snare. Like, he's the section leader of the drum line. They got a real good drum line at the school. And one of the kids in the snare line that plays snare drum next to him, he almost got himself kicked out of the band and suspended from school. Because at practice, they were on the sideline on break, and some little girl that's in the band, I don't know what she plays, some like woodwind instrument probably, her water bottle was empty, and this kid picked it up or whatever, and another kid dared him to pee in it, right? So this kid in the snare line that stands next to my brother, he peed in this little girl's water bottle. And the girl goes to pick up her water bottle at the end of practice, and she was like, oh, my water bottle was empty, because it was empty. And she was like, but now there's something in here. And they're like, what? So she opens it. She opens the water bottle, and she smells it, and there's pee in there. Right, so she freaks out and pours the pee. She makes a big deal, I guess, and I think the kid was like bragging about, he thought it was funny, so he was like telling people that he did it, and they found him out, and he's gonna get in a bunch of trouble. But the crazy thing about marching band, at least at my school, it's really important, right? And if you don't know this about marching band, you can't put it. It's not like any other like sport, like competitive thing, right? It's in basketball, you could put a kid on the bench, or you can, bring somebody off the bench to play in the game. But in the marching band, everybody's in all the time. There's nobody gets like a rest, You're like in there, you're a part of the whole deal. Nobody gets to sit on the bench. You can't like sub people in and out. So if you make like a big mistake with school and get yourself in trouble, the band will kind of do what they can, unless that you really, really fucked up. They will, if they need you, they'll make sure that you don't get in trouble for the moment so that you can perform with the school so that they don't get fucked over. Because if you don't have somebody on the field, you have drill, right? And you spend a lot of time working on it, and somebody spends a lot of time writing it, and you got to perform it. And if you just take a little piece out of that and don't have it out there, it's going to look fucked up, right? It's going to look like something's wrong. So you have to have a responsibility during the marching band season not to fuck over your program by behaving and not peeing, on people's personal belongings. That's kind of like a personal responsibility you bring to the table, I guess. And this kid wasn't about it. But, it made me think about some things I did, and I did some urine-related things as well in the marching band. I'm not going to lie. One time, I remember this. My dad told me the story, right? We're driving to the marching band competition, and he's telling me about this kid. And I remember one time, we were getting ready for a competition, and we had just got done with practice. We were packing all our stuff up to put it on the truck, and we have a drum closet at the high school I went to, where it's like there's a band locker area, and there's like a back area where the drumline stuff is, and there's like a door to a big closet, and there's a bunch of drums in there. So I was walking into the drum closet, and some people came walking out, and they were laughing or whatever, and there was this one kid that I really didn't like that was in the drumline for a couple years. And I still probably don't like him very much, and even though we're adults and I'm petty like that. But he was making this. He was walking out of there laughing. He made this like face like he had done something, and he made something really obvious, right? And then I walked in there, and I went to go put my drum in my case, and there was a Coke bottle full of pee in there, and the pee was real warm. The bottle was warm. There was no moisture on the outside of the bottle or nothing. No pee outside the bottle, but it was obviously fresh piss. Somebody just peed in there. So I put two and two together. It was obviously this kid that I didn't really like. He peed in the bottle, and he put it in my drum case. But what this kid did, he fucked up, and there's a drum closet, right? And he's in the drum line, so he left all his shit in there, and he had his shoes in there. He left on his drum case. So what I did is I opened the bottle of pee, and I poured the pee into his shoes. And I walked around for like the rest of the day going, this guy's an idiot. This guy pissed in his own shoes. Just making a joke about like, just making little stabs about like not exactly that I poured his pee into his shoes, but that he went and he peed in his own shoes. And that's something I did. And that was high school, dude. So I can understand how this, I would never pee in somebody's water bottle like that, but I did pour this guy's own pee into his own shoes. Which I still, honestly, if you ask me, I think it's funny, dude. And I don't care if you think that's wrong. Really don't care. Don't pee and then put it on my stuff. And then don't leave your stuff where I can impulsively pour your own pee onto your stuff. That's a rookie mistake, dude. That's like day one stuff, you know? But that kid, man, I got into all kind of, I don't know what you're thinking when you're in high school, honestly. You have no frame of reference. You don't know what it's like to be an adult. You don't know what it's like to face consequences, I think, sometimes. So you just do fucking stupid shit. I did all kinds of dumb shit, dude. Another time, same kid. I don't know if I'll admit, just because it's funny, dude. All this stuff I think it's funny. Same kid, the same drumline kid that I didn't like, I just didn't like him. I didn't like his attitude. He didn't act like he wanted to be good. I won't get into that. But I remember my grandmother passed away, and I was leaving practice to go to her visitation. And the kid had been, like, fucking with me and being a piece of shit. And, I mean, he wasn't, like, above me or anything. Like, I was the section leader of the drummer at this point, but he was just being a piece of shit. And he wasn't, like, caring about practice. So I got out of practice early, and I had to go across the street and get ready. And I remember he left. He had like a Subway sandwich, like a foot-long Subway sandwich on his drum case in the locker room. And I remember I was really mad at him. I can't remember what he said. And he knew my grandma had passed away. And but I took his sandwich, I opened it up, and I peed a little bit in his sandwich. I did that. I peed right in this dude's sandwich, and I never told him, and I'm sure he ate it. I'm positive. I don't know if that's there's probably statutes of limitations on that, so I probably can't get in trouble. It was definitely more than 6 years ago. I'm probably riding the line on that one, honestly, but y'all aren't going to tell nobody. This is what I'm talking about. Who are you in high school? Who was I? Who was I in high school? Why did I do these things? I bet I did. I peed right in that dude's sandwich, dude. No regrets. I still think that's funny. I would never do it today. It's so disgusting, dude. And I can't imagine what anyone could do to make me want to behave that way towards somebody else. But it's almost like a weird, like, I can't believe that was me. I can't believe that some of those things, there's all kinds of things I did that I probably could never say in a recorded format, because I'd get in some kind of trouble, or at least lose friends or respect or something. But I bet we're all like that in a way. I bet we all have done things that we wouldn't care to admit to, or leave recorded evidence in a podcast that you're going to upload to the internet, and you're going to advertise it so other people will listen to it, There's going to be, undoubtedly, some of you are going to be asking me about that P&S sandwich thing, and that's fine. But that's me, That's your boy. That's what you're listening to right now. This is Live from the Tracking Room podcast, episode 6, peeing in a sandwich. It was me, dude. It was me. Brendan, I'm sorry, dude. That's his name. First name. I know his last name, but I won't say it. And there's for sure going to be some people from the high school that listen to this. And I'm sorry. That's not me anymore. That's not who I am. That's not who I'm going to be. This is my confessions, Usher. This is Usher confessions right now. All right. Shit, but man, there's all kinds of... One time I punched this other kid, right? He was getting on my nerves, and I punched him in the kidney. From behind, right? So what he was doing, if you know about drumming, there's something called hacking, right? And it's just playing needlessly and loudly, and you're pissing people off, and it's the wrong time to be doing it. So you're just playing on your drum, or you could be playing on a desk, or you could be playing on the floor, but you're just hacking, just needless playing, and it's fucking annoying. And this dude was hacking for no shit, probably like 40 minutes. So he was like, I walk into the band room after school, and he's already got his drum on, and he's playing. And then we all get our stuff on the whole time he's playing. And then we used to walk over in a big group, like the whole drum line. And the whole time we're doing that, he's playing. And we had to walk like a half a mile across the campus, across the street. And our practice field was like way in the back of a parking lot across the street from the school. Whole time he's still hacking. We all take our drums off, put them down, and he's still standing there just hacking. Probably seriously, like at least 30 minutes he's playing, just playing his drum. And it's fucking annoying. And you just get wound up about shit. Tensions would get high back in the day, back in the high. And I walk up. He had his back to me, and he's playing just playing drums. And I come up, and I leaned into it real good. I wish I had this on video. You could see me right now. And I just punched him from behind him right in his kidney. And it was one of the best punches I've ever landed. I didn't know what a kidney shot was, but my intuition, it was instinct for me to hit him right there. I think that was my Rocky moment. I took him out. I took him down, and it hurt, man. He was like, ah! He made a noise like that. Ah! And I'll never forget. He made the noise was so bitch, dude. It was a bitch ass noise this guy made. So I hit him in the kidney, and he falls. He takes his drum off. He throws it down, and then he just collapses on the ground, and he laid there for like 15 minutes. And I never was more proud. Still, maybe. I mean, it was petty and rude, and maybe you don't know this is who you're listening to. This is me, and I don't do that anymore. Again, I'm talking about high school, but even still, dude, I feel good about that. Joey Reitz, you know who you are. I punched you in the kidney, dude, and it felt good. It felt real good for me, but I love you, and I would never do it again, and it was inappropriate, and I should have never done it, but I feel good about it. I don't know how those things can all be equally true, but they are. I feel like I've gone through all the, like, oh, man, I shouldn't have done that, and that's irresponsible, but somehow I still can have the pride of that. I'm glad I did that shit. I don't know. That's me, dude. That makes me me. So whatever. I don't know. Maybe you guys have similar things you've done that you're ashamed of and then somehow have a little good sense of personal pride about. But that's me. Some other shit, dude. There was this one kid, and I saw him this weekend, and he asked me about the podcast, and I wonder if he listened to any of it, but he had seen that I'm doing a podcast, and he seemed real excited. But man, I loved this kid, loved him to death. But my senior year, I used to pick on him so hard because he was almost like a little homeschool kid. He was one of these kids that was like super Christian, and I wanted kids to be like bad kids, you know, like I wanted them to not be like bad, like well behaved in front of people, but they were like cussing. For some reason, I just wanted kids to be kind of bad, right? That were on the drum line, but bad but good, which is a horrible thing if you're like the leader of the group, you know, like the section leader. You like want people to be like bad behavior but good. Like, how are you supposed to regulate that? It didn't make any. What are you thinking in high school? I don't know. But this kid, he was just a good kid. He was a goody two-shoes kid. He went to church and stuff. Sometimes he had to get out of practice early to go to church. And for some reason, he just like didn't want to cuss or do anything. He wouldn't take his shirt off. I always wanted like the drum line to be dudes with their shirts off at practice. It's fucking stupid shit. And but the kid, I would pick on him. I remember one time, drumline. I wish I could do a whole podcast on when I was young and in the percussion section and in the drumline. Those dudes would do crazy stuff. And even before I was in the band, the stuff that happened the years before, like when I was in elementary school and stuff, the legends of the stuff that those dudes did, it was like criminal activity going on in the drumline. Just like insane hazing and destruction of property and trespass, just insane stuff. For me though, but this kid, right, I don't know, I forget what I would do to him eventually. Like, it was just like mental warfare pretty much. But I just remember one time we were wrestling, and I just was like wrestling with, and I was a lot bigger than him, but I was just wrestling with him, like messing around, and he got really mad. He got real mad, and he started getting real aggressive with me, like he was trying to hurt me, right? But I was a lot bigger than him, so I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about right now. This smoked so much weed today, dude. It's unbelievable. But all right, long story short, I ended up wrestling this kid, right? We're wrestling, and he is going harder than I anticipate. Anyway, I thought it was just a joke. I thought we were just joking around. And I'm not going to let myself get hurt by this little kid. There was really no way for me to back off. I incited anger in this young man, and he came at me. And I just remember wrestling to the ground, and how I dissipated the situation was that I wrestled him into like 69 position, and I was like on the top, you know? And then I just pulled my pants down and my underwear down and put my butthole right in this kid's face. I did. This young kid, this young man, young Christian man. And I just, and somehow that worked, you know? Because everyone, there was also a big crowd of people watching the entire thing happen. Dude, honestly, I regret that I've gone down this road of telling this story, because I don't have a lot of memory to recall all the details of the story between me wrestling the kid, him getting mad, butthole in the face, and then it getting resolved. But that's pretty much what happened. And that was high school, dude. That was high school. Like, what the fuck, dude? That's probably not high school for anybody else, except for the people that were older than me in drumline. Dude, they used to... This is a tell-all. The Madison Central High School drumline tell-all. The dudes... They used to like just pull their dicks out all the time. Like when I was a kid, like that was the thing. They'd like make you look at their, they would like catch you off guard by showing you their dick, and you'd be like, oh yeah, and they were like, you're queer, you know, because you saw their dick and they showed it to you. That was life in high school, dude. That was it. No, I mean that was a lot more than that. It was friendship, fellowship, you know, playing drums, working hard, and then sometimes dudes would show you their penis, and you weren't expecting it. And I think that's what really set me up for this other stuff that I did, you know. I was kind of the last Mohican when it came to that activity. Yeah, that's how I like to think of myself. They really reformed all their behavior in the high school band after I was out of there. And so wrapping this all back around to your instructors not wanting to talk to you, it probably makes some more sense to a lot of you guys. You want to have that moment where you're like, oh yeah, you changed my life and stuff, but then it's also like, yeah, you committed like close to like the Me Too. Like that's kind of a Me Too thing, really. If you think about it, you want to go back. I hashtag Me Too to me, dude. I meet all these blind injustices that I've had to these poor young men, dude, in the high school drumline. That was me. But man, this is really incriminating, all this stuff I just said. But whatever, dude. How many people are gonna listen to this episode of the podcast? Like 50, maybe, if I'm lucky. So you 50, consider yourself lucky. You know some things about me that not a lot of people know. But you know what else is crazy? I told my dad all that stuff in the car. So when he told me about that kid peeing in that bottle, and it brought up all these memories, I just started rattling off all these stories to my dad and sister about just me peeing in these sandwiches and in his kid's shoes. And they were like, Jesus Christ. And I was like, yeah. I'm like in the back. I was in the back seat of the car. So we're on the interstate. It's like we're like road tripping. And I'm like laughing. I'm just laughing, recounting these memories. And they're like, Jesus Christ. Or, you know, we're in the car with an insane person. But, dude, honestly, it's in the past. What are you going to do? What's that? What they say in The Lion King? Hakuna Matata? No, it means no worries. We can say that. But that monkey, Rafiki, he says something about things being in the past. And I couldn't agree more, dude. I would never, let's play a game called 3 Things I Would Never Do right now. I would never pour another person's own pee or anybody's pee into anybody's shoes. Number 2, I would never pee in a sandwich or in anyone's food or not in a toilet. I'm going to pee in a toilet or outside. Or 3, I would never put my butthole in anybody's face, even if they wanted me to. Honestly, like if you know, people say eat the booty like groceries nowadays. If anybody was like I'd be like, no, we'll stop. We'll not do that because I got respect for myself and I got respect for others. And that's just not who I am anymore, you know? So these are my confessions, dude. I came here to sit down, and I had some things to get off my chest, dude. Sober October, it got a lot out of me. No, but for real, dude. What else, man? I don't know. So that was some stuff I went through this weekend. I went back and watched the high school championships. I hung out with some friends, some old friends I hadn't seen in a while. I got to see my dad, my mom, my sister. It was fun. Got to see my brother. Oh, yeah, I took a picture with my brother, and I put it on Instagram. And I hit a new high score on Instagram, bro. And this isn't nothing to be that proud of. But I got 86 likes on one picture. I never got that many likes before. And that's not something that I really care that much about. But it feels good to be on top, you know? It feels good to be on top of your game. And that's something family would do for you. Family over everything, you know? I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just rambling at this point. All right, what else, dude? What else did I do? Shit. Oh yeah, what a song. We probably did an intro song for this, and I think I gotta call an audible because I want to mention them per episode now. Let's do Flubber by Snake Chaney. Flubber by Snake Chaney. That's what you already heard, and you'll hear it on the outro again. Snake Chaney again. I used Chester Copperpot. If it wasn't the last episode, it was the episode before, 4 or 5. Chester Copperpot was a song we did on their Roll With Me LP, and so was Flubber. Flubber, another one of my favorite tracks we did. A really fun time. Man, I love those guys, and we're in talks again. Me and those dudes, Snake Chaney, we're trying to get in the studio. We're trying to do some stuff, and we're just busy adult men right now, you know, going through the world, and we got to get a record done. We got to work on something because I love those guys, and they make great music, and they need to be superstars, you know, because they make great music. So if you don't listen to Snake Chaney, Look them up. They got a couple different releases out. I know that much. They've got the Bread EP. I think it was called Bread. And then the Roll With Me LP. And they might have another single or two out. I know they did a demo on the radio that they released. And it's either on Bandcamp or YouTube or both. And it was Taco Bell Fiend demo, which is a great song. And I think they're going to do it on the record. So, yeah, dude, Snake Chaney. Check them out. They're the shit. I love those guys to death. Liam Quinn is the lead singer and one of the guitar players. You got Hudson McNeese. He's in there. And I guess Hayden, whatever Hayden's last name is, dude, I don't know. I've known him for a long time. Hayden, actually, fun fact, Hayden was in the first ever session I ever did by myself recording. I met a bunch of dudes randomly on MTSU's campus in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and I had some session time the next day that I was just like trying to fill with somebody, try to get somebody to come. And I kind of built a little group of dudes that jammed together that one night, and I got him to come into the studio the next day. Hayden's a fucking baller bass player, and I always run into him at like parties by himself. He'll like be by himself, like dancing, having the best time anyone's ever been having. And he's just like a happy looking dude, a white dude from Atlanta, really nice guy. And then Luke Shepard plays drums for Snake Chaney, and he's the shit. And I also got to shout this guy honorary Snake Chaney, Ethan Laborde, dude. Ethan Laborde is my homie. Used to play bass for them, and he just relocated to Louisiana. So he's not in a band right now, but he is the shit, and I love him, and he was on those first records, all the releases. So Snake Chaney, definitely check them out. They got all kinds of shit going on, and they're just good. And if you don't like them, fuck you, dude, because they're my friends, and you got to look out for your friends. So, I don't know. Again, let's see. We'll do more of this. No editing in this podcast, baby. Here it is. All right. What else could I talk about? Some MMA stuff I kind of want to talk about, and nobody's going to give a shit. And that's fine. Ben Askren, the first ever UFC like MMA trade just happened, which I really don't give a shit about. It's not a real trade. I don't know why people want to make it out like that, but it's just like ONE FC is an organization like the UFC, and they had Ben Askren. Ben Askren is honestly, he's undefeated, and he's a welterweight, and he's a really good wrestler, and he's just the shit, and he's fought all over in all kinds of different circuits, but he's never fought in the UFC. So he's always been trying to get into the UFC, and him and Dana White have had problems, and they fucking shit-talked each other on social media, and Dana is real petty. So he never really brought Ben Askren into the UFC. And Demetrius Johnson is a fighter who I talked about on the podcast before, Mighty Mouse Demetrius Johnson. I believe he was the flyweight, whatever the 125 pound is. I can never remember the name of it. He was the champ at 125 for many, many years, like 6.5 years. And he had 11 successful title defenses, as well as, it might have been 12. It was either he won 13 or 12 fights, the first one to be champ, and then defended 12 or 11 times. But he wanted to kind of move on. His training, like his camp, some of those guys are involved in like the front office at ONE FC. So he wanted to be dropped from his UFC contract and signed with ONE FC. So ONE FC decides to drop Ben Askren, and UFC decides to drop Mighty Mouse so that they can sign with their respective companies. So Ben Askren comes to the UFC, and Demetrius Johnson goes over to ONE FC, which is kind of crazy because now Demetrius Johnson loses one fight. He loses his belt, and he was injured. He had a shoulder injury, I believe, and he was probably going to get a rematch with Henry Cejudo, but he chose not to, and he jumped ship. And now he is going to fight for ONE FC, and you'll never see DJ fight any of these guys again, which is crazy. So Henry Cejudo, you kind of like got out lucky on that one, bro, because DJ is one of the best pound-for-pound greatest fighters ever, and it would have been tough to win a rematch against DJ for sure. But now you've got Ben Askren in the UFC, and you don't know who is he going to fight. He could fight everybody. He literally could fight everybody. I mean, all the guys that fight at 155 and all the guys that fight at 170, even some of the guys that fight at middleweight, like he could fight everybody. The ones you want to see him fight, since he's such a good wrestler, you'd love to see him fight Khabib for sure. You'd really love to see him fight GSP, because GSP is supposed to be the best welterweight of all time, but Ben Askren's like the best welterweight of all time that never fought in the UFC. So before he gets too old, and GSP is already kind of old, but he's still in good shape, because we just saw him come back and fight and beat Michael Bisping. Like, man, it would be great to see those two guys face off, because Ben Askren doesn't have a lot of great stand up, but he's never had to. Like, you would not know really anything about Ben Askren unless you're an outside of the UFC, like MMA fan as well. But he really never gets hit. Like, he's really never gotten hit that bad ever in any fights. And he's got I forget what his record is, but it's almost 20-0 or something like that, and he's no losses. And he's just pounding dudes, wrestling, beating the shit out of everybody. So now he has the opportunity to like fight all the great talent that the UFC has to offer. He could fight Conor, he could fight Khabib, GSP, Nate Diaz, he could fight Darren Till, he could fight Tyron Woodley. You got to think he's going to be fighting a lot of. He honestly, his age doesn't support the amount of fights that he could get, and hopefully he wins. Like, honestly, he's going to have to win and run through those guys, or I don't know. I really don't know. But it's exciting to see a guy that you thought might never fight in the UFC coming over. He gets signed, and now he's going to have fights. It's interesting. Hopefully they'll be able to sell him. A lot of people really don't like to watch wrestling stylistic fights. You'll hear the crowd boo. I know the attendance in the arena at the pay-per-views, at the fights, they really don't care to watch wrestling. And I really don't agree with that. I really think it's, they were booing Khabib in the Conor fight, that they weren't standing up. Like, did you really expect that fight to be on the feet, I mean, probably wasn't going to happen like that. And that's the boring version of that fight anyway. Watching Khabib stand up with Conor on the feet, like Conor being hesitant and respecting his wrestling and nobody really getting hit, like, that's a boring motherfucking fight. So I wish people would learn. And MMA gets a bad rap, dude. I try to have conversations with people that know nothing about fighting, and they think that the UFC is just like trash. It's like white trash, and it's just like for brutes and like losers, like that wear Walmart clothes and tap out t-shirts and stuff. But it's actually a really, really good sport. The fights themselves, like, if you maybe the marketing the UFC does sometimes, or the other bullshit, but if you just watch the fights, like just tune in and see the competition, it's like, I was telling somebody this, every fight is like the NBA finals, because you have your camp and you prepare and you do all this work to get there, to get to the moment, and every fight for you is kind of like the big, especially in the UFC, like when you're fighting on air, like those guys are fighting to move up the ladder, or fighting for a title shot, or fighting to keep their title. Like, it's all really high level competition. So that's why I really enjoy it. And a lot of people, it's hard to like explain that to people, because for some reason the sport has developed a bit of a reputation for being like trashy, like just not it's not like a respected sport, not like basketball. Like, it's hard to convince people that it's like a valuable thing, that it's cool, But even the people that it's hard to say, because something like wrestling, that's such a big part of the sport, that is really effective, and it's cool to watch. Somebody like watching Khabib wrap these dudes up like anacondas, and he's like holding their legs together with his legs, and he hooks behind his knee with his leg, and he holds your wrist down and just punches you in the face. Like, it's fun to watch that, that's like artful. It's not just like these unskilled dudes like laying on each other and making each other bleed. It's like people that are actually talented. They work hard at something. It's just like any other sport, and it's just like high level consequences. The stakes is high. Most Def. Oh, this is a side note. If you ever heard, if you know who Robert Glasper is, look up Robert Glasper. Dude, maybe I'll do that. I'll see if I can pull that off. If not, we'll see. But maybe the outro will be "Stakes is High," Most Def, and the Robert Glasper Experiment, because that shit is off the hook. It's a live video. Look it up on YouTube. Robert Glasper and Most Def. Stakes is High. I forget what I was even talking. Dude, that's a weed. That's what it does. Sober October, I'm out of it, baby. It's over. I feel good, though. Honestly, I'm not that upset at myself for fucking up my goals. I feel a little bit like a loser, but I did run 50 miles. 50 was cool. I went to the gym more than 10 times. I think I went 11 times, and that was half of my goal. Honestly, I only did one hot yoga, and I didn't even go to the studio. I did it at home. I looked at the class online, and I think I talked about that on the podcast. So a lot of failures, but I might have talked about this already too. You got to aim high, miss high, A lot of people, and me, think about every other month of my life, never ran 50 miles. I never paid so much attention to my diet. I never tried so hard to care about not smoking weed and saving money a little bit. I cared a lot about writing stand up this month, and I got a lot of stuff organized, even though I only did 4 or 5 spots, and I should have done more. And I really got to start going hard at that, or quit talking about it, because that's one of those shit or get off the pot kind of things. Nobody wants to hear that. So I just got to get to work. And it's weird. It's honestly weird, like trying to be like a starting out stand up, like an open micer, and already having a podcast that you're trying to. But I just got to do it, I just got to get this podcast moving, get the wheels turning, get the shit off the ground, because I don't know. I just got to exercise my ability to do it better before I need to be good at it, if that makes any sense. So, right, like if I wait a number of years to start doing this shit and then I try, like I already need to be good at it then. So maybe if I just keep working now, and like I said, we're gonna get 50 listens on this motherfucking podcast. I don't know. I started being a little bit of a hater on my social media, trying to get people to follow me, because I've got, like, my Instagram following has been going up a lot this month, because I've been like posting more and doing like the bullshit stuff, like hashtags to get random people to follow you. And I've gotten like 100 more followers on my personal Instagram in about a month. And then I created my podcast Instagram, and I got that one to over 100 followers. So that was cool, but I had to insult a lot of friends to get me there, dude. Nobody was doing it. I was posting like every day. I was posting the link, like making it easy to find so you could go and follow and subscribe on YouTube, and nobody was doing it. And it was frustrating me, dude. Like, not really, but like in a joke way, I was getting a little frustrated. Like, how fucking hard is it to go hit a button and just follow another person? The thing it was really getting me is like a bunch of people probably weren't following me because, like, out of a ratio thing, that like I had like not a lot of followers and I was following a bunch of people. Like, people play that fucking game, that game of like, I can't, your Instagram stock's got to be high, like your ratio of followers has to be good, like high followers, and you're not following a lot of people, and then I'll follow you because that makes me feel like I got a higher stock. I think South Park did an episode of that with Facebook a long time ago. But yeah, dude, I don't know. It was frustrating. Like, trying to build my social media following for the podcast has been not easy, trying to get the listeners up. So whatever. What I started doing is just I got this app that was it shows you who, like, you put your Instagram information into it, and it tells you who follows you, and like who's unfollowed you that used to follow you, people that you follow that don't follow back. And I went through all that shit on my personal thing, and I got real petty. There was a bunch of people from high school and other places I know that, like, they unfollowed me and shit. I was like, oh, I felt betrayed, I was like, oh, you don't like me. It was like rejection, I felt a little rejected. And it made me feel real petty, and then I had to think about it, dude. Like, was it really that important? So what did I do? Naturally, I unfollowed all those people. I got them out of my life because I don't need friends like that, Social media is real. I don't know if you know that. But to me, it's very real. And if you're not going to follow me, I don't want to follow you, dude. No, that's not. I'm kidding. But I did get a little petty. I unfollowed like 300 people. And I only got the app to, like, start trying to track the podcast one. But I put my information for the other thing in there too. And I got real petty about it. And I started calling out people on my Instagram story that saw the story and then wouldn't follow my podcast, and I was tagging them, and then I was telling them I was going to unfollow them, but I didn't. And all this is great content, really. Hearing me talk about this, I'm sure is great. You're like, oh yeah, fucking good, round of applause. But I don't know, dude. You got to get to work on it. You got to have that social media. In this day and age, if you don't have a podcast and you don't have a great Instagram following, what the fuck do you have? You got nothing. You're nobody. You're a loser. And I'm not going out like that. No, I'm just kidding. But it's just, it's not easy. So I don't possess like the pettiness that's necessary to really put the work into growing my social media, honestly, because I really just don't care that much. What it honestly does is I try to care, and I try really hard to be active in it, and then I feel all that pettiness, and it just makes me quit doing it, because I don't want to entertain that fucking petty shit, like, because I don't like what it does to me. I don't like who I am. I'm sitting around thinking about people from high school that I never would have thought about, that don't follow me on Insta, that don't see my pictures, that have the chance to like them. But it was all of it only was because of the podcast thing. Like, I'm trying to get that going because I feel like that'll help grow, and I'm gonna start trying to do clips and posting them on there. So like, I crossed something I wouldn't normally do, like getting upset about social media. It was like crossing with thinking about improving like a business thing. So it made me get real petty about it. So if I know who'd I call out. I called out Chandler Whitaker. Oh, sorry, you know, you're not gonna listen to my podcast anyway, so it doesn't matter. But she's a really nice lady, nice girl I went to high school with, and I called her out. Clayton Gibb, I was on the drum line with him, and he didn't follow my shit. I called him out, unfollowed, dude. I called out my buddies John Smalt and Carson Cody, who I love, and they're making a great record with Devin Gilfillian. I probably talked about Devin Gilfillian on the podcast before, but those guys are in his band, and they're out working real hard on their record in LA and traveling all over the country right now. But they didn't follow my podcast, dude. So I had to cut them off, unfollowed. No, I didn't unfollow those guys. I love them to death. But who else? I don't know. I didn't tag anybody. Oh, yeah, Chance Willie, who I saw tonight, dude. Shout out to dude Chance Willie. By the way, I was at this Halloween party. Chance Willie is a local comedian. He's I wouldn't call him an open micer exactly because he's pretty good. I like him. And he's on shows all the time, and he's starting to really ramp up his being booked on shows. I saw he was in Huntsville doing stand-up live. He's been at Zany's a couple times in the last couple months. So shouts out to Chance Willie. But he was dressed as what's the guy's name from American Psycho? I don't know. It's the Christian Bale character. You know, when he well, not Paul Allen. I can't remember. Patrick something. I can't remember. But you know, when he puts on, he's wearing a suit and he puts on the poncho, and then he kills Jared Leto's character Paul Allen in his apartment. He was that guy. He had the poncho on with the fake blood and the suit, and it was pretty sweet Halloween costume. I was dressed as just a guy, just me. And one guy came up to me and he said, he goes, "Hey, what are you dressed up as? Like a fucking idiot or something?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's me. Yeah, I'm done. That's me. That's what I'm dressed as every day. That's what I look like." So I felt that really helped the vibe today for me. That guy saying that shit. So, no, I just don't like dressing up for Halloween. I really don't. It takes too much. I would rather dress up as like a normal thing. You know, if I'm gonna dress up, I'm just gonna find some like clothes. I'm not gonna like go to a Halloween costume store and buy a costume, like dress up like a gladiator or something. So the last time I dressed up, I think for Halloween, my girlfriend in high school, it was like my senior year of high school, and her birthday is like November 6th or November 9th or November 8th or something like that. And I was a good boyfriend, dude. And so her birthday was right around Halloween, and she wanted to have a Halloween birthday party, and I was her boyfriend, and I had to dress up because she wanted a bunch of people to come and everybody to wear costumes. So she was like a gladiator lady, and I didn't really give a fuck about my costume. So she went with me and like made me pick out the fucking thing, and I was like a gladiator too. And it had the whole thing. Like I was wearing like a vest. So it's October, and my like arms are out in a vest, and my shoulders and my clavicles, you know, and my clavicles showing. Like a fair amount of skin. I'm wearing like a skirt, you know, and like sandals. I'm wearing like sandals. And they're not even real sandals. They're like bullshit Halloween costume sandals. So I'm like outside in Kentucky in pretty much November, October, you know, and it's just bullshit, dude. I hated it. The costume was real thin material and cheap, like fake leather feeling stuff. So it got real cold and it was against my skin. And ever since that day, dude, I just never want to dress up ever again. I felt so stupid in the costume. I didn't think I looked that great, and I don't care about looking that great. But I honestly care about not looking like an idiot. And that's what I felt like I looked like. So if anybody was there at that, you know, many years ago and saw me wearing that stupid gladiator costume, dude, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you. I probably didn't look good. I had on my I didn't have great looking clavicles then, you know, and they were all hanging out. I don't even know. This is where you find out I don't know what clavicle means. No, I'm just kidding. Whatever. Does it cheapen the joke when I laugh at it and then tell you I'm just kidding on the mic? We'll work on that. We'll workshop that one. What else, dude? I was in the middle of talking about MMA stuff, and I bailed on it because I knew that nobody cared, and that's fine. And I had other MMA stuff I wanted to talk about, but I'm not going to talk about it because you don't care about Luke Rockhold having a broken nose and a broken hand and an infected chin and not being able to fight Chris Weidman. It's going to be a great middleweight fight. One for the ages, dude. And you're not going to get to see it because Luke Rockhold is injured right now. And that's fine because Jacare is going to step up to fight Chris Weidman. And you don't care about that because you don't know who Jacare is. Jacare, the former Strikeforce middleweight champion. You don't care about it. But I do. And that's fine. We just won't talk about it. But those are the details. And if you didn't know, that's what happened. So that's the short version. So, yeah, dude, I don't know. Sober October, it happened, and I failed. But I lived life hard. I lived it to the fullest, and I failed. And I feel like a little bit of a loser. But I'm not going to beat myself up about it because I'm just going to keep trying throughout the next year before Sober October, to just keep running hard, running all the time. And I'm really going to try to buckle down into the stand-up thing, get over this fear of getting on stage because that's really all it is. Funny enough, I was having a conversation with a comedian, and they were talking about they're having a hard time with comedy right now. And they're probably not really going to quit, but they're, they were just like in a rough moment. They don't feel great about their comedy career right now. And they were like saying, I just want to quit, but the only thing that keeps me from quitting is I'm so addicted to being on stage. I love to be on stage, and that's what really keeps me doing it. And I realized that I hate being on stage. I really don't enjoy it. That's not a fun part of it for me, which is like all of it though, So it made me realize like I've got to start, instead of like, I think sometimes I conceptualize things in the wrong way. Like when I get my mind wrapped around something, I might be thinking about it wrong, because now I'm thinking about stand-up. It all happens on stage. Like the writing, you can do the writing in your free time and organizing a set list and thinking about the jokes. Like that can all happen off stage. But doing it and achieving it, getting the result, happens on stage, and you're doing it. And I don't think I think about it from that perspective. Well, I know I don't. I know I'm not thinking about it as that's the ultimate goal. And I honestly started thinking about it like, well, what do I think? Like, is it just going up and doing the spot, or would it be just like making the audience laugh? But it really needs to be about me going up on stage and achieving something. Like it doesn't really matter about the audience, because now I think that's going to help me. Because the last time I got up, I was like having trouble. It's just like connecting with the audience, getting out of your head. And I'm rambling. I'm not completing any sentences or any thoughts here. But somebody, it was like a comedian, and I think it was Joe Rogan, actually. I was listening on his podcast, and he was talking about his writing and how let's see, what am I trying to say here? How the audience has to be able to tell you're thinking about it. So I don't know how much any of you listening know about stand-up, but you spend a lot of time if you're like a high level guy like a Joe Rogan, or somebody that you see their special, like you see them performing stand up in a recorded manner, like those people have probably been doing it for a while, and they spend a lot of time on the craft. They at least have spent a lot of time in years doing it. You don't really see people like that unless they've gotten to a certain level. So they've done the jokes, like when they do their hour, when they do their special, whatever it is, they've run those jokes a whole bunch of times. But when they tell the joke, when they do the bit, it sounds like the first time. Like it's like they're thinking it through right then for the first time. It's like they're stumbling upon a thought and they're exploring it. With you, the audience, And in my stand-up, I think I'm just like, I'm trying to memorize and recite, so it just doesn't come off like genuine, like a thought, because you can tell I'm up there just thinking about what to remember, that I'm not thinking about the content and like making it conversational. So, I mean, that's a little TMI or whatever. But if you're a stand-up or anybody, I guess, I don't know, if you're any kind of performer, that might be something to think about more. Like, I think that's the higher level of it, at least, like being able to, it's almost like improvising without improvising. You're doing it, and you're not just like reciting, you're connecting with the audience and trying to do what's going to make if it's like music or something, you're just trying to connect with the audience. Like, I've seen a bunch of shows with bands where they just get up there and they just play and it sucks. But the best ones are when they're like playing to you. They're playing because of you or something like that. And I think in comedy, there's something about that rings true. It's like the same thing. You just have to be up there doing it, thinking about the bit, and it just being like a thought. And you're going to go back out there and re-explore it for the audience, with the audience, to make them laugh. So I'm really trying to like rethink my bits like that, so that I'm not just attached to the words on a page, and which I really try not to be anyway. But damn, dude, I'll tell you this much. Back to the stage thing. I just can't think on stage. Being on stage in front of a bunch of people, I hate doing it, and I know I need to get over it and do it and learn to love it and learn to like it. Maybe not love it, but just learn to be able to do it. And because that's what stand-up is being up on stage, and you have to be able to think while you're up there. So for me, it's just like, I have no thoughts, zero thoughts. I'm up there just like blank. So working through that, I don't know, maybe it's just going to take a bunch of times of getting up there and sucking. And it's just, I don't know, it's hard, dude. That's the hard part of it. Just to not be no, I don't think anybody's naturally great at stand-up all the time. You know, maybe you get like a good first time or a good couple this amount of times, but it ain't easy, bro. It definitely ain't easy. So, dude, again, I don't care to get this much into it because I'm not trying to fucking complain. But, dude, that's where I'm at right now. I'm just trying to get back into the work ethic, into the workflow, dude. I'm trying to not pee in people's sandwiches, you know? That's what I'm talking. I'm trying not to, put my butthole in anybody else's face again. That's the life I'm trying to live. You know, I think that's the life we can all try to live. And, y'all, I guess this has been a good amount of time, right? We did, I've done about an hour and 10 minutes now. But, man, thank you guys again for listening to the podcast. Those of you that are subscribing, make sure you go to Instagram and follow me at LFTTR_ or on YouTube at Live from the Tracking Room. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Come back and see your boy. Help me feel better about myself by being one of these viewers. Get me up to some more listens, you know? And we're going to get on the Apple Podcast app real soon. I got to submit. There's a whole bunch of bullshit formatting you have to do to get Apple to pick your thing up. Like, you have to have a photo that's formatted to an exact size and all this bullshit. But I guess that's what it takes to be in the big league, dude. But again, thank you for listening to Live from the Tracking Room, episode 6. I'm your host, David Chasteen, man, and that's it. We out of here.